Kings play chess on fine-grained sand. Somebody else give me a level next. Go.
She sells by the seashore. I can't even do it right, man.
Ken.
I like big butts, and I cannot lie. I like big butts and something else.
Haikus are pretty, but sometimes they don't make sense. Refrigerator.
Well then, we know what we're doing. It's episode 150X, because I think we're still in the 50s. I think it's 158. I have the page open. I'm going to click it.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
158. So happy 3-year anniversary late to us.
We did it kind of
on brand.
Even weirder because there's been multiple episodes where we did a half, so you don't know really how many we've put out.
Oh, that's right. So it's like 5 or 6 weeks late.
Yeah, and then early on there were a couple weeks where we had 2 in 1 week, and yeah, who knows?
Yeah, totally on brand. Forget the number. Don't know what month it is. It's all good. It's all good.
No research.
JJ's here. You heard him. Michael's here.
Yep. Hey, everybody.
And we got a guest. Ken's back.
Hey, one and all. How you doing today?
Hey, buddy. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Actually,
congrats, man.
Thanks. Actually, just got some of the photos back from the wedding today. All the ones, a good majority for the wedding, and then some for the reception. They're looking pretty awesome. A lot of good stuff.
We did a lot of superhero posing.
Oh yeah, the thing is, I need to get a semi decent Photoshop artist to bring in Mjolnir and the Cap Shield and lightning, all kinds of stuff.
I hear
somebody needs elemental guns.
I know somebody that needs those. I hear if you just post things on Twitter, there's a lot of people that love to do Photoshop there for free.
I've seen some awesome ones where they're like, "Can you take this person, this jerk in the background out?" They just take out the groom out of the photo.
Yeah, I was gonna say they don't always do it the way you want, but it ends up looking great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of it not all being the way you want, but pretty much still great, Marvel's Endgame.
Is it not great for you guys? Is that how you came down on that? Is it's not great, or didn't turn out the way you want, or?
I think my
spoilers
opinion
first.
Spoilers first. Spoilers for Endgame.
So Ken wasn't able to join us for our 2-parter, but he graciously listened so that he could write down a checklist of things to get us right on.
Yeah,
and maybe we'll change our opinion here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we all liked it, right? Like, it was good. I enjoyed it.
I might of the three of us, I might give it the great vote.
Okay. I came down the hardest, I think, because they broke their own rules. And I thought Infinity War was awesome.
Yeah, I think it was tough for them to live up to Black Panther and Infinity War, 2 movies that are among the best that they had made, and then followed up with this one, which was very good, but not those 2.
Yeah. I think that it was enjoyable a lot of the way through. It started to feel like I think JJ and I landed in the camp of the battle scene wore us down.
Yeah.
And Michael maybe that didn't have that same experience.
Yeah, I didn't quite get to that point.
There you go.
I think that was a divide.
Recap for you, who I assume, Ken, you landed on this is the best movie of all time. We lost Ken. Ken is gone. Well, it wouldn't be a podcast without technical difficulties.
Hey.
So Pokemon Go.
Yeah, still doing it?
I really got sucked down a rabbit hole with Pokemon Go because so much has changed since the first time that I did it that it's kind of like
a new game.
Yeah, it's a new game, right? Like, not only because the first time around you were just catching Eekins and Rattatas everywhere, and now it's like, right. Ooh, that's new. What's that? And I don't know anything past the Gen 2 Pokemon. Not really sure that there's like a ton overall that's not like super free to play. You know what I mean? Like, I walk up to the gyms and, ooh, man, those guys have 3,000 level Pokemon because they've been playing for a long time or they paid money and mine are like level 500 or whatever. And there are a lot of people actually that kind of wander around with either multiple phones or something, because
What?
yeah, so when you take over a gym, like you can battle the gym, right?
Right.
And you do damage to it by battling it, but you can only, once you beat it, put one of your Pokemon in, right? And so once you put the one Pokemon in, you're done. And then after that, the other people have to put theirs in. So if you have multiple accounts, you could just put more of yours in. And so a lot of the people in the gym have name like Goldman 1, Goldman 2, Goldman 3, and then all have the same outfits on, you know?
Nothing suspicious about that at all.
No, Ryan's
Personal
not.
army.
I'm going to steal Ryan's story, but apparently they were at a gym, which was at like a boba shop or something, and saw a husband and wife pull up in their Tesla outside, pop open the trunk, in which they had 6 phones tethered up to a Wi-Fi.
Oh my god.
So, you know, Pokemon Go. I'm enjoying it. I don't want to undersell that I'm enjoying it for some reason. That's kind of weird. Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, he's
quiet.
back. He's back. Kind of?
Can you hear me?
No, it's like you're in an echo chamber,
Real
buddy.
quiet.
How about now?
Oh,
There
that's
he
better.
is.
There he's back.
Okay, so what it is it's the sound got redirected to my headset and not the Icicle.
What happened there?
I don't know. I even have it set to Icicle, and here we are.
How would it have reset in the middle of doing stuff? Oh, it just reset itself again. He's gone.
I'm still here.
Oh, it keeps showing us mute and like headset mute.
Fantastic. This is wonderful piece of equipment.
I love
All
it.
right.
Okay.
So
All
hopefully at least my levels are okay.
Yeah,
and
yeah, we're good.
we'll just try and go from here.
We're good. We're good.
He's fine.
Okay.
All right. So I think we can get let's finish Pokemon Sleep here real
Yeah, let's
quick.
finish Pokemon Go. Let's hear about these kids with the Wi-Fi that they're all tethered to.
Dude, I don't I'm stealing Ryan's story, but that's definitely what's going on here a little bit. Which is kind of a bummer, because that's how you make money in the game. Is if you want to make the premium currency, you have to put your people into a gym. And so if there's no room in the gym because they're dumping their currency into it, or they're dumping their Pokemon into it, you can't get currency. So it's a little bit of a bummer. I don't know why you'd have multiple accounts. It's not like you could really, I mean, I guess you could sell Pokemon because you can trade them.
I imagine they're doing it so they can like get 6 chances to get the shiny one or whatever.
Yeah, probably. Helping themselves doing raids. Raids require like up to 20 people, and then you get the chance at the shiny raid legendary or whatever. So
Yeah,
but
if there are 6 of you who are really 2 of you, then
Yeah, but that can't be. So we at the comic shop, we're a gym, so occasionally we'll just have a army of people show up outside for about 15 minutes and do the raid and then bounce out. And I'm like, I've seen some of them with like 2 phones, but I'm like, how can you be active on anything more than that? Like, if you've got several accounts, like, do you do a raid at one gym with these 2 phones and then go over and switch out accounts and do 2 more times? And I mean, I get it. People farm stuff all the time, but it seems extremely redundant. Like, and just there's got to be a better use for your time, I guess. But what have you?
I guess if you're really into it, there's no better use for your time. Overall, you know.
I guess it just depends. If you're valuing getting that really, that rare legendary shiny or whatever, then that's the thing you have to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer, because then you have to trade it, and then your IVs could change from being good to bad, I don't know. But I do know that I don't want to have Pikachu watch me sleep.
What?
You don't want the Pokemon Company to have all your sleep habits and sell them to the highest bidder?
Well, the highest bidder is probably Nintendo. I don't know why they're doing that.
Whoever it's going to be, they're going to sell it to anyone who will give them money, I'm sure.
Yeah, So Nintendo was gonna do this on their own. They were gonna do like a health thing, like a fitness tracker and all sorts of gamification of fitness and sleep and all this, and then they shut that down a couple months ago.
And then talked about doing the vitality sensor as far back as the Wii.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And now the Pokemon company wants to level Pokemon by you sleeping on them or something.
This isn't predatory and aimed at kids, though, I'm sure.
Probably not. I don't know. The best thing to come out of this was Pokemon, let's go home and sleep.
The whole thing just seems so skeezy to me. And just like, hey kids, you want to install this app so you can snuggle with your best bud Pikachu? And then like some guy literally stealing their data in the background and like selling it to their insurance company to deny them coverage later in life, or some kind of horrible dystopian stuff like this. It's just like, I can't. No, man, I don't want anyone watching me sleep.
I just can't imagine what it's for. Anyway, that's about as much Pokemon as needs to happen. I think we should get back to some Marvelage, maybe.
If you guys are in the mood.
I'm in the mood to know whether you thought this was the best of 23 Marvel movies.
No, because it's not a standalone movie. It's the bookend. It's a second half to another movie. It's the culmination of 22 films. It's like, it's great in that aspect. It's mind blowing. Like, where aside from television, where else do you get that kind of storytelling that brings you together all these characters and of the scale? Like, there's not much else out there. And so it's like, it's great on that aspect of it. As far as the standalone film, like, you couldn't just put this on and be like, oh yeah, I totally get everything that's going on, and it gives me full arcs for these characters. Like, no, it's not that, but it's a great trade paperback. Like, it's like, oh, that's the second volume. It's so good.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And so it's like, is it like as I was saying, or when I was off mic, when my top five Marvel movies at the top of the list, and it's mainly because I'm a Spider-Man fan, is Spider-Man Homecoming. And that's largely just due to that Spider-Man Homecoming side of things. It's not necessarily like, I think Winter Soldier, Civil War, those are better movies. Like, they're just better movies in a whole, probably, but I just love Spider-Man, and it is self-contained. It's so just like, okay, there's nods to the other movies, but Spider-Man's doing everything a Spider-Man can, and he's doing his story as a standalone, so it's great in that aspect. Captain America and Winter Soldier and Civil War are, again, pieces of a larger puzzle, but they can stand on their own too as well. But like, Spider-Man is just fun, and it's so fun. I really love that. I love Homecoming.
I get bogged down in the theory craft behind Civil War, where Black Panther's really pissed off that there's collateral damage in this world, and then causes thousands of people to get injured during his chase of Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of that's like, oh well, wouldn't cause damage if he wasn't on the run. It's like, I don't know.
He gets literally yelled at that for the exact same thing in Black Panther when he goes through Korea and destroys like half that town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Dude didn't learn.
Okay, so you're not as strongly optioned on it as I thought, and as much as I want to know what you think about that new Spider-Man trailer, we should probably get the other Marvel out of the way first.
That is actually on my list of things. That's the very last thing, because someone's like, "Oh yeah, that's Vec," and I'm like, "Nope, wait, let's."
We corrected ourselves off air.
Oh, you did?
It was very helpful.
Gotcha.
Does this dude have a lisp? Like,
yeah,
the trailer is badly cut, I guess.
Yeah,
it's hard to understand at first, but okay, all right. So, how bad did we do in our estimation of the movie?
No, not bad at all. For me, it's totally pedantic little things that are just like, one didn't get mentioned, or like this, like the first off, like, oh yeah, when Vision was at the party, he couldn't pick up the hammer. It's like, well, no, Vision wasn't created yet at the beginning of the party in Age of Ultron, and later at the end of the movie, he did lift the hammer. So it's like, because they had that whole bit about like, so if the hammer's in an elevator and the elevator goes up, elevator's lifting the hammer, doesn't count. Like, yeah, it's a machine, doesn't count.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, right. See, man, I haven't seen Age of Ultron in so long.
I'm going to jump forward. and say, you didn't see Iron Man 3? Like, how did you not see other, like, it's 22 pieces of this puzzle, and they're all readily available. This is 2019. You can watch all of them from the comfort of your couch, except for Captain Marvel. That's the only one you couldn't watch from your couch.
But, like, why should I watch bad movies?
Iron Man 3 is not bad. It's got good moments.
Jaws 2,
forgettable, but like,
Jaws 2 has
bad.
good moments.
I think there's definitely good character growth for Tony there. I think it's yeah. There's definitely problems I have with it, and I wouldn't say that it's a perfect movie, but I don't know. I think all the Marvel movies, the worst Marvel movie is still better than the best DC movie. So I don't know.
You
think
Are we
Wonder
Thor
Woman
2 ahead of Wonder Woman?
Okay, I guess Wonder Woman. Yeah, okay, Wonder Woman is the best DC movie of the DCU.
Yes.
So that's
Modern
right.
DCU era DCU movies, right? Not like all DC movies ever made, because like the first Batman is amazing.
The Tim Burton one where he starts out by watching a crime happen and letting it happen.
Yes,
that's the best one.
Yes,
no, I say the nay.
I suspect Ken is referring to Justice League specifically, which is not great, and all the Marvel movies might be better than that.
No, all the new DCU movies I think fall in the same category.
Yeah, I haven't seen Aquaman yet though. No, it's not. No, Wonder Woman definitely has some good points and stuff. There is a little bit of like. At the end, it just becomes like, okay, well, this is just the big bad all along. Like, all right, I don't know.
Wonder Woman is a very enjoyable film, but it definitely suffers from like this is the best of a real bad lot. It's like if you bought 6 eggs and but 5 of them were cracked.
Like, oh, this egg is great. Yeah, but I mean, we lost 5. Like, yeah.
The bar has not been set high.
Yeah,
it's still a good movie. Like that's a good egg.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
So, irrespective of our Iron Man 3 screw ups.
Yeah, I still think too. Like considering I think Iron Man 3 is on Netflix. It can cost you nothing but some of your time. Which, you know, who didn't see it? It was JJ. You don't have kids. Watch a movie.
I've seen Iron Man 3. That's not it. It was Andrew who hadn't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah. Dang it. He has kids. He has an excuse. Okay, fair enough.
Did you recognize the kid at the funeral?
Oh, no. God, no. I missed that completely until...
See, I got that.
Yeah. I was like, who is this kid? And I mean, it makes sense with the story and like, oh, everyone grew up that much. I'm like, all right, fine. Like, I guess this kid's here. Who I was upset wasn't there was Coulson. Like, Coulson was here with us in movie 1.
They don't mix the shows and movies.
Really? So who is that guy who opened the door for Tony's dad?
This guy that opened the doors for Tony's dad?
Yeah, to get in the car.
Jarvis?
He's Jarvis.
Oh, the original Jarvis. Oh, from the Peggy Carter TV show. Oh, okay. So
hold on. Not fair. Because if you pay any attention at all, you know that who played Vision and... who was the voice for Jarvis was that guy, right? Paul Bettany.
No. It was Paul Bettany, but that wasn't the driver.
Yes, it is.
No,
he says he based Jarvis on his dad's butler or whatever.
He based the name. Paul Bettany voices Jarvis from Iron Man 1 on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Paul Bettany. The person who plays Jarvis is not Paul Bettany in as far as his corporeal real life human form.
What?
It's a real person. What do you mean?
In the movie, that's Paul Bettany.
No, it's not.
It isn't?
No. It's the actor who plays him on the Peggy Carter TV show. And again, about mixing TV shows and TV and movies. Again, Coulson started in the first movie with Tony Stark.
But Coulson's dead in the movies, and they're not going to explain to people that he came back to life, kind of, in the TV shows, and was the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., kind of, even though...
Did we get an explanation as to why this random kid is standing in the back of the funeral? No,
yeah, because he and Tony had like great stuff all through Iron Man 3, and he came out because he was sad that Tony died.
So the kid from one movie gets to come back. Coulson from 3 or 4 movies doesn't get to come back.
No, Coulson had bit parts in all of those movies. The kid was like a main character in Iron Man 3.
Not in Thor. He's got a really big part in Thor.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I
just
think
think
Thor. Yeah,
I would agree that I would love for Coulson to have come back. And I've said on this show before that they should have mixed the TV shows and movies, but they don't.
Yeah, they don't for the most part.
In any reasonable, marketable, or interconnected way, they do not mix them.
The mixing only goes one way, right? They drop fun things for people who follow
like
the
Sif.
TV shows into the movies, like Jarvis and Sif and that stuff, and then everyone else is just like, that's just a character in the background, cool.
Well, but that's all about to change.
Is it?
With Disney Plus?
Yeah.
I mean, that you can make a movie on there.
3 that I can name offhand and giving them TV shows.
Yeah.
But does that mean that they won't show up in the movies again? We don't know.
Well, will those TV shows cross over to other TV shows? You know what I mean? Like,
I think the question is if they're produced by Marvel Studios, then they'll continue the lineage, as opposed to if it's created by Marvel Television, it's a different division, it's a different studio.
It's also going to get too big at a certain point to micromanage the interactions on that stuff.
Let's call Lucasfilm. They did a great. No, they didn't do a great job. Never mind.
Yeah, we don't want to do what Lucasfilm did. That's not going to end up great.
No, I'm totally kidding. So I wish, because you have Nick Fury walk out for like a quick minute at the funeral. I'm like, couldn't you just walk out with Coulson? He doesn't like to interact with anybody. Just walks out and like, because Coulson was there from the very first movie, and I think there's some continuity, and just it would have been good to have him there. But then again, I don't know where the TV show is currently because I fell off in the last season. So, but still, it's just I think considering we brought back so many people, like, why couldn't Coulson come back? I'm not even seeing like bringing the rest of the cast of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but Coulson played a role in the very first movie, so I think that should earn him, I don't know, some screen time. But that's just my own personal opinion. That's, I don't think it's a failing of the movie. It's just one of those things like, I wish they would have done that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
never gonna happen.
Yeah. Just wait for Captain Marvel 2, and he's pivotal because and Coulson was in that movie too. Like, spoilers for Captain Marvel.
Younger Coulson.
Yeah.
Younger Coulson with Nick Fury from the Negotiator.
Because he was alive at that point in time, and then they don't have to explain to everybody that didn't watch the TV show. That's all. That's it. Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. I thought it was good that Captain America was doing group therapy with everyone trying to still deal with that stuff, because essentially he's filling in the role that Falcon left. Like, he meets when he meets Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson's doing Groot for veterans who've come back and don't know how to find their place, and so Cap is doing whatever he can because he still can't let it go. So he's doing whatever he can to try and fill in for Falcon, who's now dusted. So I thought that was a really good moment.
Did you kind of get the same feeling that at least I did? I think somebody else did also, that it seemed like he had kind of obfuscated his responsibilities elsewhere, though, in terms of like being upset about the way the world turned out and trying to help a different way. And then you show up and you see Scarlett Johansson, and she's like overworked and overtired, and he's not really helping.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like you get the feeling that she's also like just trying to hold people together, and the idea like, well, we should keep talking. It's like, well, what's there to say sometimes? Like, you've got War Machine trying to track down Barton from time to time, but like there's not like how much do they actually need to do and save? And that's kind of the idea that the world has leveled out a bit. Like, there's not as much chaos because there's not as much crime because there's less people to kind of be. I don't know. It's kind of it's you're left in a weird feeling. Like, everything's very dark in that tonally, where you're like, she definitely feels overwrought, but I don't know if it's just emotionally because she still hasn't moved on either. She's still upset about what happened.
Maybe.
So I definitely think he'd probably, I don't know. There's definitely something with that giant time gap there that's a problem for me because of the logistics of them keeping the snap to like snap and then going for 5 years without it. Like, that's the time travel aspect to me seems like a bit of a cop out. It seems like a feasible idea for the story, but I'm still like, but you just thinking about it, okay, you lose half the world, and then people go on and deal with all the mental repercussions of dealing with that societally. How do we carry on through certain types of government, all these types of things? And then 5 years later, everyone comes back and like, oh yeah, the infrastructure is no longer there to support that many. It's changed to be able to support the half the population we had. and now you're going to throw all those people back into it. It'd be even more chaos on top of that. Plus, anybody say you're since you got dusted, your wife went out, got remarried, and now she's got a kid, and she's married somebody else. Like, you come back out of nowhere, like that's just the world's. It's I don't know, the 5-year gap. The only reason for the 5-year gap is so that Tony has a kid, and that there feels like there's repercussions for Tony to make the decision that he does. That's the only reason, so that he has something to lose and make it worthwhile. Otherwise, it causes nothing but trouble to have that 5-year gap there.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, because I mean, you didn't need 5 years for Thor to get fat.
No.
Let me tell you, you can do it in 2.
I was just gonna say, way easier than that.
Oh yeah, and I'm not even trying.
One other thing on my list is that you guys were talking about how Peggy had kids, and that you saw her husband. She never had kids, and you never saw the husband. Yeah. Huh. So she has a niece, and that's Sharon Carter, and they make note of it that it's Aunt Peggy,
right?
And Aunt Peggy, Sharon Carter, who he kisses in Civil War. Spoilers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah. So it's I kissed your niece, and but yeah, you never see the husband. So like when
I could have sworn early on that he sees her later on in life, at least, and even if you don't see the husband or whatever, she doesn't react like, "Oh, hey, what the heck? How are you young again? We were married for 30 years in secret."
She does have Alzheimer's later when he does go see her, and so when it plays out in the movie at the time. It plays out like, "Oh, you're back," and so you see that play across her. It's a really heartbreaking moment at the time, because you're like, she's having to go through and live that part again.
Mm-hmm.
It's even more weird when you think about that. Is just old Steve in the other room, like, all right, just meet her, and he just keeps his head down and never quite interacts with his other timeline self. I don't know.
We all, I think, had issues with the idea that Cap would just be like, well, I know all this stuff. Other me's got this. Like, no big deal.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff like, he just allows September 11th to happen. There's all kinds of things where you're just like, so he just leaves Bucky to be tortured and mind wiped and go kill people. Okay.
All of the Hydra stuff in infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. and
yeah, there's a boatload of stuff there, and it's just the idea. And it's weird too, because they go back and now they're like, oh yeah, we totally, he was in a different timeline. He's in this timeline. I'm like, you guys are just grasping at straws now. Like, you don't need to try and cover up for it. Like, it's fine. Like, you didn't think this 100% through, it's whatever it is. Once you bring in time travel, it all kind of goes out the window. And that's why I'm not a big fan of it as far as the plot device for this. It's still fun to have a time heist.
Oh yeah.
But you gotta
follow your own rules.
Yeah.
And
that's
don't.
The thing too, like, the first time I saw it, I was like, wait, so the discussion between the Ancient One and Banner Hulk is like, oh, if you pull this out, you create a different timeline. And he's like, no, if we bring it back, we close off that timeline. But they don't talk about closing it off. They just talk about fortifying their own timeline, which I'm like, oh, because on the second viewing, I listened to it a little more closely, and I was a little clear, like, oh, okay. So they don't honestly care about creating the alternate timelines. They just care about fortifying their own, which is a little bit like, really, guys? We're just, all right, that's what we're going to do now.
Yeah,
fine.
We have no concept of trying to protect the timeline. Come on.
Yeah. It's also, there's stuff too, like, where it's very nitpicky, where like, I wish we could have got some more moments with Hulk or whatnot, but we have, 35 characters to service in this story, so some people have to fall by the wayside.
Hey, that 5-year gap gave us Giganto Hulk banner.
Yeah, Professor Hulk, which I like conceptually, but also, like, I would have, like, when Ancient One hits Banner out of Hulk, I'm like, oh my god, are we gonna get Rage Monster Hulk, where it's just Hulk unchecked and Banner's out of him? Like, that would have been crazy. Like, he just leaps off, and that's part of the the chaos that ensues. But no, cool. We just, yeah, I was hoping for that, especially because Hulk got screwed out of the last movie, where, like, oh no, they want to say that he wasn't too scared of Thanos to come back. He just was tired of fixing Bruce's problems. But I'm like, that's not the way that read. Like, there's times they put stuff forward in the movie that it just doesn't read that way on screen to me and to most people I talk to. Like, in Infinity War, most people are like, oh, so Hulk's scared of Thanos. I'm like, that's how it reads to me. But then the Russos go on and say, oh no, he's just tired of fixing his problems. I'm like, then do a better job of showing me that. Don't tell.
You don't have to listen to what they say after the movie is over. I actually think a lot of this movie is better if you don't ever read any of the stuff that they say, because in general, you just like watch what you see, and then you think, oh, okay, Hulk was scared. That's why he didn't come out. Everything's fine. There's no mystery to solve there.
Yeah. Well, then that makes me angry because I'm like, Hulk should have fought better at his. Yeah. But no, it's a very valid point. You can just enjoy the movie for the movie and not, watch special features. Don't do interviews afterwards.
Not knowing what they said, I thought back to when he was in Ragnarok, and then was like, okay, well, Hulk doesn't come out because Banner's too afraid to let Hulk come out again.
Right. But that would mean, but since they didn't write that movie, I don't think they integrated those thoughts into it.
Like, what do you mean? I thought everything was interconnected.
I would hope so too, but
there's
clearly
23
not.
Pieces of a puzzle, and I have to go watch Iron Man 3.
I'm saying that you should watch it. I didn't say that that it makes sense. I'm just saying you should watch it.
Oh. Okay, so we're all on board that time travel Cap is not the best Cap.
Yeah, there's definitely questions there, but I mean, it's you have it so at the end you can have that moment of him, which is really cool too. Like on the rewatch, you see like right before he's about to go on the time pad, he looks over his shoulder and then he like looks kind of like okay, nods and he goes back in time, and I'm like, oh wow, that's cool because he's just kind of confirming, he's like almost like reassuring himself that his plan, like he's like, what if I try this, and like he looks over his shoulder. Sees probably old Steve there and is like, oh, okay, this is a valid plan. I'm about to do it anyway, so here we go.
Oh, okay. Cool. Where did he get the extra shield?
I mean, he just probably had it out of some. If he's time jumping, he can do whatever he wants. I mean, realistically.
So he stole some poor Steve's shield that's out there in some other timeline. Doesn't have a shield anymore.
Dude, the whole. Oh, go ahead.
As I say, he just had to remember to go back and give it back to him right before he dies.
Whenever he thinks about it. It's put on the back. He inscribed it on the back of the shield. Sam, before you die, take this back to March 1984.
And that the whole returning and everything is like, and also like the fact that there's like, oh yeah, this timeline's the way they work. It bothers me because it's like, okay, so we let past Thanos come to the future and then we dust him there. So shouldn't then past Thanos never be there to do the snap in the first place and put us on this gigantic journey in the first place, and just whatever. Like, guys, like don't like just time travel wasn't. I don't know.
Ken, this doesn't work like Back to the Future. They explicitly said that.
Exactly. Like it works however we deem necessary. That's how it works.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's interesting to say though too. For a lot of the movies, like all the way back to Captain America: The First Avenger, it was the same writers. Like the same writers worked on the Captain America: The First Avenger on up to Infinity War. Like not all the movies, but definitely pieces here and there, which is really kind of interesting to see. Like they were planning certain things, or at least they knew that they had a crumb to follow from First Avenger all the way through up until this. So
cool. That puts it more in his perspective. Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Any more listicle for us?
The Pepper when Pepper knows that Tony won't let it go, he's like, "Will you get any rest?" And it's a really good moment when they're talking about the first idea of like, okay, I cracked time travel, and she's like, "Okay, you did it. So, or you're not gonna let it go though. So I'm gonna acknowledge what that means to you and just let you go on another adventure." And then that's a great line for her to kind of finish on. Is like, "You can rest now." And it's like, oh, it's all right. She knows Tony and she gets that.
We were all somewhat unconvinced by Pepper Potts.
I didn't say she was great at acting it, but the goop read the lines that were given her. So
okay,
there's that. Oh, and also the convincing. I like that the convincing factor was pretty much Peter. Like if it wasn't like when he's doing the dishes and he splashes some water and he sees the photo of Peter, like he sees the photo of his dad, but the next to that is the photo of Peter. Like that's where his big that's his Jason Todd at that point. Where like that was my failure. That was like everything else I did the best I could, but I failed Peter, and that still carried with him. That weight was still on him. And so
it's his whole thing with fathers and sons, which does I think get resolved nicely in this.
Yeah.
That's a tough sell considering how many people have died thanks to Tony Stark.
Hey, this is the only one that he felt like that died in his arms.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, but he starts out on that journey in Civil War, right? When the mother comes to him in the hallway after he funds all the projects.
Yeah. Sorry, the additional accountability, and then he's like, everyone has to be accountable. Isn't it all your fault? Everyone has to be accountable. Like, all right, Tony, how about just you first? We'll start there.
Yeah.
Everyone. Yeah.
All right. Spider-Man is going to be in another movie here in a hot minute. Alternate timelines, alternate dimensions, alternate realities, alternate Tony Stark's back in Marvel MCU after that movie?
No, I just figure Force Ghost. Like hologram. Well, no, I mean you have Jarvis who was taken out. You have Friday. You have and I can't remember there's an AI in Peter's suit as well, and now I can't remember it. But like there's other multiple AIs. He could just exist as, and he's done it in the comics where he's existed as an AI. He scanned his brain and said, "Okay, I made an AI for if I die," and that's when Dr. Doom takes over as Iron Man, and so does Ironheart. And they're interacting with the digital Tony. So it's like, we get it at the end of the movie where he's talking to his daughter and Pepper and everyone. So it's like stuff like that I can see happening to some degree if they wanted to, if he wants more money, just, oh yeah, I can do some acting. That's the thing too, is like most of his stuff now is just him in the suit. So it just means him sitting in a chair, looking around quickly like, all right, got another one on my side. So it's even easier for him now. Like, okay, I can just wear a t-shirt and jeans as just the AI. All right, let's do this.
I think maybe it's more that Marvel doesn't want him back because of the price tag attached to that than the other way around.
No, I can see that. Which is interesting too, because it's like on the other side of that is Captain America, who's just Chris Evans is just like, no, it's too stressful being a Captain America. I'm kind of good. I'm out. Let me step back.
I have two big questions for you. One, is Mysterio the bad guy, or are we getting a red herring and there's another bad guy?
I don't know. So you have Quentin Beck, who is Mysterio, and I'm curious if a lot of people just call it the syndrome story of essentially like, he creates the villains that he's fighting to make himself prop himself up as a hero. So you have that kind of idea. There's also, I guess none of you probably read Spider-Man when Peter Parker from the 616 universe meets Miles Morales for the first time. In that universe, Mysterios actually exist in both realities, but the one in the Ultimate Universe is actually just a animatronic body that our Mysterio uses to act as a supervillain in that side too. It's kind of crazy, like the amount of like doubling back and stuff they do. But I think the hard part is like prior knowledge. I want to think it's the syndrome thing where he's going to try and act like he's doing all this stuff and it's just his buddies that are propping him up, Sandman, Molten Man, and all these guys. But I don't know. And it's like it's weird too, because it's like we had first heard that they were going to be the Elementals, which are some really weird random villains back in the day, but they turned out all to be, because they make references to the specific issues that they start in. For Sandman, Hydro Man, Molten Man, and there's one more that my brain's not giving me. But yeah, they're all characters who exist in the Spider-Man universe. And so it's hard pressed to be like, oh, which way they're going to go, because it's like they do have the option to do something interesting, but I don't know. Well, it's something you guys mentioned at the end where like Ned walks up to him and he's like, oh, hey, and like he's all sad that he's like he's so happy to see him back. Yeah. And the way that scene the way that scene reads is that Ned has spent the last 5 years without Peter. Except if that's the case, Ned's in college. Why is Peter meeting him at school?
Ding.
Why is anybody, like, it's like the entire class is getting together. So either they all got dusted, which, okay, there's still a little bit there for Ned just to be like, oh, hey, you're still alive. That's great. Even though we both got dusted, it feels like I saw you leave 2 days ago and you're back. Okay,
Ned wouldn't have known because he saw him leave on a rocket for space. So there's a chance Ned got dusted too, I guess. And that's the only way they can both still be in high school.
The entire class, because Flash Thompson's back.
Yeah.
Michelle's back. I'm not calling her MJ. Mary's not short for Michelle, but like everyone, Flash Thompson, other people in his class, they're all still alive. So I'm like, okay, and they're all still in high school. So either like half the class got dusted and it was all his friends. It's again, this is the point of like the 5-year gap is pointless to me, because it's like it was just there for the Morgan Stark of it all, which is fine, but I'm just like, I just don't try and continue that. I don't know. It's weird to me. Because like all these, and also like, hey, we all just came back from the dead. Let's go on a trip across, to Europe. I'm like, really? Like everyone's just happy? Like the world's in complete disarray, 50 billion people disappeared and came back 5 years later. Like, how would this be chaos?
They solved it, but the problem is it's a school trip. They have to go.
They already had the waiver signed. Yeah, they bought the tickets, but then
they're gonna lose the hotel.
It's gonna be amazing that they got that London Eye working again, and then it gets blown up.
Yeah, it's just like, oh heavens.
So if there's a 5-year time gap in the Black Panther movie, do we think that that's enough of a gap to reintroduce Dr. Doom and the Fantastic Four?
Oh God, I want them. I want Dr. Doom. I don't. God, how do they bring them in? And also, the problem for me is the FF. I don't love the FF. I like them; they're fine. I think they'd work better as a show, but I don't see the FF working as great as a movie. I mean, they were the only good Fantastic Four movie that there is Incredibles 1 and 2. Like that's it. Like it hasn't worked otherwise, and I don't know why they can't find the right recipe, but there it is. Like it's the only thing. Like I think the X-Men are a better, easier way to bring in the other side of the universe. And I think, was it one of you guys that mentioned? Oh no, I think it was another podcast. There's talk of them. So what they're going to do with Stark Tower is they have shots of Peter Parker in New York still, and you see shots of Stark Tower. But now that Stark's gone, what happens to Avengers Tower? Because now the Avengers are in upstate New York in the compound. Does that become? Yeah, true. I mean, Pepper has unlimited funds. She'll rebuild it. That's fine. Also, by the way, I thought of this just right now. Aren't half the team of Avengers still war criminals technically because they didn't sign the Sokovia Accords? Or we don't? Like the last we saw, Thunderbolt Ross is like, arrest these people.
Double jeopardy, Ken. You can't try them twice. They died. They came back. They're absolved of all crimes.
Till death do us part. We died, so we're like, I'm free to date. Oh, that's ridiculous. Anyways,
well, I mean, Hawkeye is an international criminal no matter which way you cut it. So. Oh
yeah, seriously. Oh, and that was another thing on the Nat shouldn't have died. Like I get that, like you, to a degree they fridged her, which is not like, it's just like she has more stories to tell. Clint doesn't have anything else to do. Like, just let him die. I do not care about anything about this Clint Barton. Like, man, I just do not care about Clint Barton.
You don't want a Clint Barton TV show, Ronin thing?
No, because we're not going to get that because he's got his family back. So there's no Ronin. We don't need that. He could have died right there.
But there's 5 years worth of time. Yeah,
that's flashback movies. Then we don't need him.
5 seasons.
That's fine, but that's flashback movies, so we don't need him alive at the end of the movie.
I see.
Yeah,
I see.
Yeah.
Oh boy. There's.
Oh, good.
Okay, that's fine. Do you have anything else on that one?
No, on that one, no. Go for it.
Okay. There's another movie franchise that I would call troubled recently, maybe. Happens to also be produced by Disney.
Well, that doesn't narrow it down.
Might also have a theme park thing coming.
That narrows it down.
Star Wars. Star Wars is opening a land called Galaxy's Edge.
Has opened.
Oh my god.
AKA Star Wars Land.
AKA Star Wars Land, yeah. No one's going to call it Galaxy's Edge, right?
Oh, I actually call it Batuu because that's where you go. It's Batuu.
You don't actually go there unless you get on Star Tours first.
You do, yeah. I've landed in Batuu several times. So.
Okay. Then you've done that part of the journey. Now it's time to go to Batuu.
I've never actually gotten into Batuu though. I just walk off to the edge. I don't know where I go.
Michael.
Yeah, so we were fortunate enough to join on a friend's reservation on Sunday, for the brand spanking new Galaxy's Edge.
Okay, explain how the reservations work.
So for the first month, that the new land is open, there are reservations that are required for you to get in. So there were 2 ways to get a reservation. You could either book a room at one of the Disney hotels during that month and get a guaranteed reservation with that, or they opened up an online portal, kind of like the Comic-Con portal, and the day of reservations, you went and got in the waiting room and they assigned you a random number, and then they let people in over the course of, I think it was about 3 hours it took to sell them out. And when your slot came up, they presented you with a couple of days and a bunch of time slots within each of those days, and you got to pick one that best worked for you and put up to 5 other people onto your reservation. So you can have at most a group of 6.
Oh, so like if you've already made a reservation, like, so I know somebody that made one for 3, they can add people later?
I don't think you can change the reservations that you've made. I haven't heard of anyone trying, but I know that when you show up, so they're not doing check-in at Galaxy's Edge. Check-in is over in Tomorrowland at the Carnival of Progress.
The what and the who now?
So where they put all the Star Wars stuff next to Autopia, between Autopia.
Oh, that big old circular building.
Yeah.
The future.
Landing, launch bay.
Launch bay. Yeah. It is now the launch bay.
What happened to the ASIMO? That's an old reference for people that.
That was like the previous pilot of Star Tours.
No. That's Captain Rex. ASIMO. He used to be in the launch bay.
ASIMO was from South Park.
No. What's the name of the robot?
Ken is also right.
You're thinking of ASIMO, ASIMO, as opposed to ASIMO.
Honda robot, Disneyland.
Yeah, ASIMO.
That robot is
Asimov
like
is a man.
No, ASIMO.
ASIMO.
His name is ASIMO.
It's not.
I'm going to watch this video and it's going to say his name on the video.
Highest advanced step in innovative mobility. ASIMO.
I know. I just had to get. Oh, hi. You won't believe what's going on out there. I think everyone in town is on my lawn right now. Oh, Phil. No, you gotta stay out of the rose bushes, buddy. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm Captain McGuire. Welcome to the McGuire household. You see, we've been chosen as the first family to test new Honda ASIMO robot, and I just sent it out to go check on the mail. It was so much fun watching the neighbors' faces when they first see ASIMO. Like, they all... No, you can't borrow the robot. Just... Okay. Now, if you're not familiar with ASIMO, you're gonna be amazed at the way it... You know what? You're just going to have to see it to believe it. Of course, when we first met ASIMO a couple of weeks ago, we learned that its name stands for Advanced Step in Innovative Mobility. Oh, here it comes now. Everyone, say hello to ASIMO. That's a good idea. Everyone welcome the newest member of the McGuire family, ASIMO.
Here we go.
I'm going to interject because you're still doing research, which I don't know why you're doing it. This is We Were Gamers, but you can't transfer the names. You can't go back and add people onto an existing reservation, and you can't edit it either. So my friend actually she put her name twice on accident, so she couldn't go back and change her second name to a different name. Yeah, they lock you into that because I would have bothered so many people if that was the option.
Yeah, so when you show up at the launch bay, which you can do up to 2 hours before your reservation, your whole group has to be there. I guess if people can't make it, but everyone who's going with the person who made the reservation has to be there. And they check everyone's ID if you're 18 or over to match it up with the list. And
what
everyone
if
gets
I've
wristbands.
legally changed my age to not be 18 because I don't feel that old?
Then you're going to court like that guy that tried to do that.
All right. You walk in and it's empty because half the rides aren't open yet.
I mean, half, you mean one of two.
That's exactly half.
Yes.
No, so they do. One of the things that I had a big question about, and I think a lot of people did, was crowd size, because they gave no indication of how many reservations that they would have and how busy the park would get as a result of it. But I think they did a really good job of limiting the number of people such that it just felt like another day in any other part of the park. Like, there were people and it was busy, but you weren't shoulder to shoulder spending all your time waiting in a line for this or a line for that.
So it wasn't Comic-Con.
It was not Comic-Con. And I think that they should extend the reservations once this first month is done.
Extend the amount of time you have there?
No, the amount of time you have, the 4 hours, is a good amount of time.
Oh, okay.
I think they should open up more reservations.
Oh, let the reservations keep going?
Yeah, because I think if they stop the reservations after just a month, it's going to be a madhouse for probably the rest of the year.
Agreed. But then again, as someone who didn't get a reservation, I'm like, no, just let me in. So I'm of two minds. But
Yeah.
I'd like the opportunity to get in there when it's a little more controlled. And I've heard too that if you stay past your 4 hours, I've heard two things. One, they say that stormtroopers will guide you out, which I've heard is not true. And that essentially they won't allow you to buy anything in the shops, go on any of the rides, but you can still kind of hang out and mill about, which is still kind of awesome because it looks amazing.
Right, yeah. So they do start to basically shut you out of things. I didn't experience it firsthand because they were closing the park early yesterday. So even though we had an 11 to 3 time slot, there wasn't a group coming in after us. So we didn't have to deal with overlap because the groups overlap by an hour.
Oh.
So at the beginning and end of most of the time slots, there will be 2 groups in the land. Which is when it feels the busiest. But for us, because there wasn't a group after us, it just got quieter and quieter as we got closer to 3 o'clock.
That's unfair.
Yeah, man.
I demand you go back and do this the hard way.
Well, I am going back, but it'll be the same thing because we have the last time slot of the day.
I demand you change time slots.
This is unacceptable.
I need to change my name to Michael and get in there
Legally
on your
change
behalf.
your name to Michael.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not fair, mainly because you're never going to know how crowded the actual line is to get in the Millennium Falcon.
Yes, that's true, until they really open it up. But I will say this for that ride. It is going to be very much like Cars Land Racers because the ride is a team of 6.
Okay.
So if you're not dead set on riding with a group, single rider will be a great option for this one. Because groups of 3 and groups of 6 are not common like 2 and 4 are. So there's always going to be the need to fill in with single riders.
Is the prop Millennium Falcon separate from the ride?
Prop Millennium Falcon is right outside the ride. Okay. So if you're looking at the Millennium Falcon, the entrance to the ride is just off to its left.
And so you can go in the prop one. Is that right or wrong?
No, there's no entrance to go into the prop one.
Where do you take the picture with the table and the thing and the other thing?
So there is, inside the ride, there is a staging area where you can stop and take photos.
Huh.
And those photos are what, like right now is the time to get those photos, because otherwise every photo you have is going to have 18 other people behind you waiting in line to get that same shot. Right. And my one thought is that waiting for the Halloween time frame to come along, so you can so I can go to the park in costume as Bespin Han Solo, so then I can be in my costume on the Falcon and get a photo like that. That's the dream.
I believe in you. Make it happen.
I like it. And if nothing else, I'll wear a Kyle Katarn outfit and get Andy in a Dash Rendar costume. We can do this. This is a goal.
Mm-hmm. Smuggler's Row. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Right. How's that ride?
The ride is excellent. So it's way more interactive than I expected that it would be. So you're in a group of 6, and they assign roles to you. They pass you out 6 little cards, and each card has your role on it and a brief description of what your job is. So there are 2 pilots, there are 2 gunners, and there are 2 engineers. And the ride itself is a train heist a la Solo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the pilots, there's a left and a right pilot. The left pilot is in charge of left and right motion. The right pilot is in charge of and down and jumping to light speed. The 2 gunners are responsible for taking out enemy ships and shooting loose the train cars, and the engineers are responsible for protecting the ship and harpooning the train cars so that they don't fall.
Huh.
This sounds
so you get a team score, but it's based on your performance, and you can get variable numbers of train cars loose.
Oh.
So something I heard, which I don't know if you experienced this or not, is that if you want the longest possible ride, you should actually play badly.
Really?
Because I guess there's more screens that happen or whatever if you, like, suck. Was how the person on the website I was reading described it. Like, if you're bad at flying through the asteroids or whatever,
right,
then you have to fly through the asteroids more than if you just, like, are good and dodge everything.
Huh, okay. I can see that. I kind of wondered. So what I've heard is that the best you can do is disconnecting 3 of the train cars. And we actually got to ride it twice because the line got so short by the end. And we got 2 train cars disconnected each time through, which was impressive because one of our crew members was 4.
Huh?
How
tall do you have to be?
Just tall enough. Oh, I don't remember what the number is, but she was just tall enough to meet the height requirement, but she was not tall enough to be the right pilot and reach all the way up to the top of the console to pull down the lever for hyperspeed.
Oh my gosh.
Which was fantastic. But we still managed on both runs to get 2 cars decoupled. But it's cool because, like, for each job there are a bunch of buttons on all the panels, and the buttons light up as you're supposed to be pressing them. So
half this stuff is going to be broken by the end of the year.
That's what I was just going to say. How long are those buttons going to work?
They'll be gone by the end of the year. It's just like Indiana Jones, man. That ride used to have fire and 3 tracks.
And it used to also have, like, 15 different ways it could animate, and now it doesn't do that either. And
oh, man. Already making me sad that I'm not in this early part. I'm like, dang it.
But yeah, I'm curious to see what it would be like if you had a dedicated crew of 6 who knew what they were doing. But now I'm equally curious to know what happens if you just totally kludge it up.
yeah, the person, I guess, whose article I read talking about it had said that he basically went in with their group and one person just, like, sat and watched the ride instead of interacting at all.
Okay. And depending on the role, I can imagine that went pretty poorly.
Yeah, I don't remember which role he ended up being, but I thought it was a hilarious idea.
Probably one of the pilots.
Nice. What's it like walking around?
It's immersive. Like, you forget that you're at Disney.
That's impossible considering all the sweaty people around you.
But, you know, well, when we were there, it was kind of overcast, so there were less sweaty people. But like I said, they do a really good job with controlling the size of the crowd. So
but
it
overall,
feels... Go ahead.
what do you call that? It's not called rock work. It's because it's not rock, it's plaster, but all the environmental stuff.
Yeah, it looks really good. Like everything feels like they put thought behind it and time into it.
How big are the is everything kind of life size? It's not like the Millennium Falcon's like 3 times smaller than it should be.
No, everything is life sized.
Nice.
They use we saw it from a distance, so I couldn't hear what the premise was, but they use Kylo's ship for a like mini stage show.
Huh.
And he like disappears up into his ship at the end of it.
What about merchandise? Did you try to build a lightsaber or a droid?
We did not try to build a lightsaber. We went into the droid shop. We didn't try to get in line because that line was long pretty much the entire time. Okay. But we did see other people putting their droids together, and they are incredibly customizable.
Yeah. More so
options that you have for more so than
like the they have that cheapo lightsaber building thing over at Star Tours.
Oh no, this is more like imagine Build-A-Bear but for droids.
I heard those lightsabers are like $200, so they better be nicer.
Oh, this is the newer ones, yeah.
Yeah. So they're nicer, and it's also, I've heard it compared to the wand ceremony at Universal for Harry Potter, where it's not just the building of the lightsaber, but it's the whole experience that goes along with it.
Oh man!
And you get a cool over the shoulder like black kind of poster tube looking carrier for your lightsaber as well.
No, really?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna have to build one.
They have a DJ Rex, Andy. I think you saw that.
Yeah. Captain Rex as a DJ?
Yeah, he's like a Bluetooth speaker.
I'm gonna need that.
Does he tell you that it's your first flight and it's his too?
It's his first spin. It's my first spin.
That would be cool.
Oh man!
I heard that Paul Rubens even comes back to voice it. Does it sound like him?
So I couldn't hear it very well only because it was super loud when we were in there.
Okay.
Imagine.
But that would be great if he did the voice for it.
Yeah, that's one thing when they did Star Tours, which it's also like annoying now because like I'll go on Star Tours and seem to get the same sequence of stuff again and again, and I'm like, I know it's probably because they're pushing more for Last Jedi still because that's the newest footage they have, but I'm like, I want to go back to some of the older locations. I want to have some of that old stuff again. Also, I realized they never integrated anything from Solo, which is more than a little surprising. Like, there's destinations there we didn't see. Like, we can, I don't know.
Wrong timeline.
It's all the wrong timeline. It's all the wrong timeline.
I know, but you have to think about the timeline they need to sell toys in.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is you don't have any original trilogy or prequel trilogy in Batuu, in Galaxy's Edge. You only have the new trilogy. Mm-hmm. So anything old trilogy is over in Star Tours, in Launch Bay. Like you won't see Vader outside of Launch Bay over in Batuu because that's not his era. So they won't have him there. He'll only be in Launch Bay. So they're still maintaining some kind of thing there. So why not do Star Tours? You go through, time portals or whatever. Like I'd want those back. But that's just me. But anyways, the point was that I liked Rex. I loved Rex. I thought it would be, they had 4 pods for Star Tours back in the day. They still do. Why not keep one of that for the original ride? Like that would have been,
I agree.
I don't know.
I agree.
I would have loved that.
I agree. And one of them should always have been the classic ride. When you went in, it was like, hey, Rex is still here.
Yeah. And maybe don't keep it operational all the time if you don't want to, but just like still maintain one. You have 4 pods and I can't think of a time I've gone in there and all 4 bays were currently being used. Like maybe 2, maybe 3 at most, but usually never 4. So I don't know, but that's just me wanting to have that original experience still.
Yeah, and they could also do something like they do with Hyperspace Mountain, or what they just are doing for this month with Soarin', which is bring the original back.
Oh,
But you can't bring the
So for
original
the-
back on the hardware
Star Tours.
and Star Tours. You know.
Yeah, I think the issue with the original stuff is they ripped out all those old simulators, and so
Okay,
they are
yeah.
not there anymore. They did mechanical and sizable hardware changes.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes it much
Not that they
harder.
couldn't put the old footage and like the motions back in, but then there's probably more work to do that than just like press go, you know?
Yeah, reprogram it all.
Just do it with one of them. You got 3. You got 4. Just do it.
Yep.
I fully believe that they will at some point, as like a fun thing, just like they did with Soren, bring it back as like a here's a limited time event that lasts for 3 years. That they bring it back once in a while.
Do you think they bring back Rex into the thing, like bring back that animatronic, or do you think they just retrofit it with 3PO and R2?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, when I heard about the lightsaber, the creation of it all, it's like very much harkening to the episode of Clone Wars: The Gathering, where it's like all of them go through and find out, oh, mine's gonna be made out of this, mine's gonna be made out of that. I was just like, that sounds amazing, but it's like $200, and I'm like, okay, so that's amazing, and I'll be doing that in several years, possibly. I still have to buy an $800 Lego Millennium Falcon, so I've got my priorities. All right, folks.
And that's a good priority, by
Top
the
of
way.
the list, yeah.
That Millennium Falcon's really good.
Somebody's got a tip-top review of that Millennium Falcon over there.
I'm looking at it right now. It's great.
So probably the only thing we didn't get to do was the cantina.
No alcohol?
No. So we're going to try that tomorrow. They changed. So Galaxy's Edge opened on Friday, and between Friday and Sunday, they changed the way you try to get into the cantina.
Because everybody wants to do it.
Well, Friday and Saturday, they did it straight up Comic-Con style, where there's a line, and when it gets long enough, they just cap it. And you have to be hanging around, but not hanging around to try and get into it when they uncap it. That should sound familiar to all of you.
It creates the chaos around the end of the line. Yeah.
Right. So they wised
like
up
Snoopy.
they wised up impressively quickly, and by Sunday they had people waiting near the cantina to take names on a first come first served basis of how many people were in your group, and then based on how quickly you got to them, they gave you a time window. So our window was 2.5 to 3 hours into our 4-hour reservation.
Ooh.
And they told us, if we can accommodate you, we'll send you a text during your window letting you know to come back to the cantina.
Oh.
So there'll be fast passes for that eventually. That's how that sounds, right?
Reservations, maybe, through the
There'll
Disney reservation
probably
line.
be, yeah, there'll
Oh,
probably
right,
be
yeah.
reservations through the app, and it'll eventually normalize out, but it'll take a while.
My gosh.
2 years.
Oh man.
All right,
My
so you
plan
went
is
to
to
the
wait 2
non-dairy
years.
milk cart then.
Yes, we went to the milk stand that serves non-dairy drinks, and we tried both the blue milk and the green milk.
Which are non-dairy.
Yes,
Why?
I don't know.
So what? I mean, what is it? This
So it is a combination of rice milk and I don't remember now if it's almond milk or coconut milk.
okay. So one's kind of like an horchata, maybe.
No, actually, they both taste very candy-like. They've kind of got the consistency of smoothies,
No.
and one of them tasted a little bit like bubblegum, and the other one tasted a little bit, like a little bit citrusy, a little bit watermelony, but they're actually
No.
both good.
Bubblegum doesn't belong in a drink.
Yeah, you try it before you totally rule it out.
Okay. All right.
And we were told after the fact that the best thing to do is actually to mix the two of them together.
Of course, right after you've already finished it.
Yeah,
That
All right.
sounds so nasty.
It does sound terrible.
they
And
were
if
surprised. They were surprisingly good.
Okay. If you have an opinion on whether bubblegum belongs in a drink, or whether Star Wars Batuu should have references to the original films, like a round deflector dish.
Continuity, Andy.
All right,
Continuity.
Just log off, man. This is not. Oh my god.
Where would you send it?
you could send those to podcast@weweregamers.com. Email. We will read it, and you could watch this very podcast in audio video form on YouTube.
It's like I'm not emailing them a link. YouTube's a good spot. We have Instagram.
Yeah.
We have Twitter.
Yeah, and Twitter. And Facebook. At We Were Gamers on all those places. Check us out.
It's got to be ASIMO. There's no way they would say ASIMO in Disneyland.
It's A-I.
No, it's not. It's A-S. A-S-I-M-O. ASIMO.
Okay. ASIMO.
ASIMO.
It's not ASIMO, which is absolutely spelled awesome, A-W-E-S-O-M-E-O.
If you have an opinion on whether it's ASIMO or ASIMO,
then share with us. I was like waiting for the other half of that sentence. Do you have an opinion on it? Unless you agree with me, keep it to yourself.
Okay.
Who's Crab Dance?
Crab Dance is Ryan.
Okay.
He's probably botting FF whatever or something.
It actually doesn't say FF11.
Does not say FF11.
Yeah, it doesn't say it, but
he's probably botting it.
You know.
Yeah.
Because there's like video games to talk about for the first time in months.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot. I don't think we're ever doing another component class with how much news there is.
I've got Galaxy's Edge to talk about at some point.
Oh my god!
Oh no!
All right, well, that's in the podcast. That's certainly more important than video games.
Oh my god!